What's up everyone, my name is Marie, welcome to my channel and welcome to another speed build. So for today's video I am actually doing another limited pack build and I'm really excited about it. So for this pack build I am only using Parenthood and Seasons. That was actually requested by someone, which I just want to say thank you so much for requesting that, because I always think it's so much fun whenever someone requests something and yeah, I get to build something that I know for a fact at least someone will actually really enjoy, or at least I hope that you'll enjoy it. I hope it's yeah, it's kind of turning into a house that you were looking for or that you wanted to see. So yeah, thank you again so much for requesting that. And they actually originally requested a tiny home with only Seasons and Parenthood. Now this is not exactly a tiny home, but it is still a really small house. Like there's only 2 small bedrooms in there. The parents' bedroom is only going to be, it has a double bed in there, but I had to shove it against the wall. So I imagined it to be for only 1 parent and 1 kid. So it's still a very tiny home. It's not exactly a tiny home, but it's still very small. And there is only 1 bathroom in there, and the bathroom doesn't even have a sink because I couldn't fit a sink in there. So yeah, that kind of tells you how small it's going to end up being. But yeah, I was really excited about this house because I could finally use an inspiration photo that I found on Pinterest like a while back, like a very long time ago. But I thought it was such a cute little house, so I used that picture for inspiration and started building this tiny little Craftsman home. I think it kind of looks like a Craftsman home in a way, and yeah, I was definitely having a lot of fun with it. I am building it in Willow Creek, if you could already tell, and so yeah, I don't know exactly how it fits in with the neighborhood, but the weird thing that I never really thought about is with Seasons or Parenthood, but mainly Seasons, we didn't get a new world, but we did get an entirely new building style, if that makes sense. Like the more Craftsman type of home kind of style, like that brick that I'm using right now, and those columns, they are from not these ones, but the one on the front porch, they are from Seasons, but they don't really fit into the world of Willow Creek, and they don't fit into the world of Oasis Springs at all. And New Crest, I guess you could make it work, but I think that for this building style, Willow Creek is the best fit, but still, it doesn't really go with the rest of the world at all, obviously, because it's a new pack, like it's an addition to the base game, so it's going to be a little bit different, obviously. But I never really thought about it. Like with Seasons, like I mentioned, we didn't get a new world, so there isn't like a world that this new building style really fits into that well, which was kind of annoying because I really wanted to build something that could fit in with a neighborhood, but I couldn't make it work. So I decided to just let it go and build something that stands out a little bit from the rest of the homes. But yeah, I hope that's okay. Here you can really see the house come together. I like that I used the blue siding for this house. It's actually really blue, but I really wanted to go for something a little bit different and colorful. And yeah, I never really used that blue siding at all, like ever. But for this house, I was really enjoying it because it's really small, and yeah, I could use a little bit color. Like I use a lot of grays because of the brick and the foundation and the pillars and stuff. It has a lot of gray on it. So I kind of wanted to make it look a little bit more, yeah, spicy in a way, or just spice it up a little bit, I guess. So I decided to go for that blue siding, that bright blue siding. I'm struggling to speak, I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm definitely really enjoying it. And here you can see that I moved on to the floor plan, which was actually a bit of a struggle. Here you can see that I'm just messing around with the roof, because the roof, the way I built it, it was really clipping to the inside of the house, like to the upstairs area, but I didn't record it all, but I tried to make it work with like different roof pieces and make it so that it doesn't clip in anywhere. But I couldn't make it work for this roof because it just wouldn't fit, like it wouldn't work out. So I had to use the roof piece that I'm using right now, which meant that I had a part of the roof clipping into that bedroom upstairs. And I already tried to kind of cover it up with 2 dressers stacked on top of each other, and that's what I ended up using for the actual solution as well. So yeah, I just stacked 2 dressers on top of each other, which actually made perfect sense for that bedroom. So yeah, it all worked out well, but I was definitely having a bit of a struggle with the roofing for this one. But still, I am really happy with the way that it turned out, and I think that it looks really cute. So the messing around or the struggle with the roof was definitely worth it. And yeah, like I mentioned, I was really happy with the result. And here I moved on to the layout of the downstairs area, the ground floor, which was also a bit of a struggle actually. This house was kind of a bit of a struggle, but still a lot of fun. Like, I had to just let it sit for a day. I built this house in 2 sittings because the first day when I started building it and finished the whole exterior of the house, I moved on to the floor plan and I just couldn't make it work, and I wasn't liking it, and I just really didn't like the house anymore. I was like, maybe I should just start over. So that's when I decided to just let it go for the rest of the day, and I went back to it the next day. And then when I went back to the house the next day, it turned out that I actually really liked it and that it all worked out fine in the end. So that just kind of tells you that sometimes you just have to let things sit for a little bit and then come back to it later, and then you'll actually see that it's really good and that you actually like it. So that happens sometimes with my builds as well, and it definitely happened for this one as well. But here I figured out where I wanted to place down the kitchen. It's a really small kitchen, and I later on decided to section it off with a couple of half walls, and that all worked out perfectly fine. So here I was definitely also struggling around with the placement of the living area, of the couches and stuff like that. But in the end, it actually worked out fine, because here you can see that I decided to place down a couple of half walls, and then in the living area I also placed down a half wall to kind of section it off from the area where the back door is. So that made perfect sense, and it also gave me a little bit extra wall space to actually put items against, like furniture pieces, if that makes any sense. Here you can see what I mean, and it kind of just gave me the perfect amount of space to place down a living area that works out just fine. Like I mentioned, you can see that everything is kind of small and cramped together, but it's still very cozy in a way, and there is no like routing issues for the Sims. I play tested the build, so everything works out just fine, especially when you only have 2 Sims living in this house, which is what I was imagining for this house, definitely. So for the storyline for this house, I was thinking that it could be for a single dad and his child. For some reason, I found the interior style to be a bit masculine in a way. Like, it could really fit a single dad, in my opinion. I don't know why exactly, but that's just kind of the vibe that I got from this build overall, from the exterior as well as the interior. So yeah, I decided that this house was for a single dad and his child. I also furnished 1 bedroom upstairs for a child, so it has toys and kids furniture in there, so that all should work out fine. And then I also placed down one of the monkey jungle bar items in the backyard as well, so there's plenty of activities for the child. And I also placed down one of those crafting tables. I think the one that came with, I don't know, either Parenthood or Seasons, obviously, because those are the only 2 packs that I'm using for this build. But I placed down one of those crafting tables for the child downstairs as well. But yeah, as soon as I figured out the rest of the layout for the house, I went back into the kitchen and cluttered it up a little bit, which is something that I tend to do. Like, before, what I used to do was I just placed down the kitchen and started cluttering up immediately. But for my last few builds, what I've been doing is just figuring out the layout as a whole first, like figure out where the kitchen is going to go, and then figure out where the living area is going to go, and then I'll go back and clutter up the spaces that I have yet to clutter up. So that's what I did for this build as well, and it worked out perfectly fine. Like, the layout and the whole furniture style and stuff, it came together pretty easily, but that's also because I only had like base game, Parenthood, and Seasons to pick from. So sometimes that is so refreshing, and it kind of makes it it a little bit easier to furnish the whole thing, which sometimes can actually be really nice because I have all the packs installed usually, and that is a lot of items. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love to have all the choices and all the opportunities for all the different styles, but sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, and it's just sometimes nice to have a little bit less items to pick from, I guess. But here you can see this is the tiny little bathroom that only fits a shower and a toilet in there, because I don't have University installed, obviously, so I couldn't use that one shower that comes with University, that your Sims can, that's just kind of like the open shower that your Sims can just walk through. So I had to use quote unquote actual shower, a closed off shower for the bathroom. So that made it so that I could only fit in a shower and a toilet. But that's no problem because the bathroom is downstairs and so is the kitchen, which has a sink. So it's only just a small walk from the bathroom to the kitchen to wash your hands. And I figured that that would just work out perfectly fine. But here you can see I moved on to the upstairs, which exists of only two very small bedrooms. So this is the dad's bedroom. I made it a little bit like gray purplish with some brown accents in it because the flooring and the door is brown, and then the bedding is brown as well. Yeah, just kind of dark and cool toned colors, except for the brown. I don't actually know, that dark brown is kind of like a neutral tone, I guess. But yeah, overall, I just went for cooler colors in this build, which is also why I think that, in my opinion, it's a little bit masculine looking in that sense, which doesn't mean that masculine has to be for men only. It's not like, I don't mean it like that, but I don't know how else to explain it. It kind of just feels masculine to me. But here you can see what I mean by the stacked dressers. I am struggling to speak again. I don't know what's up with me lately, but I hope that's okay. But yeah, the dressers worked out just fine in the end. And here you can see I moved on to the kids' bedroom, which I actually surprisingly really like. I thought I was going to have a struggle with it because it's a really, really small bedroom, but I did want to give the child like a proper dresser and a toy box and a blarfy and stuff like that, but it worked out perfectly fine in the end. I just decided to use a toy box as a nightstand. Here you can see me do that, and it worked out fine. And I was really enjoying this wallpaper because it just reminds me of Animal Crossing because of the little leaf. Like, I don't know, it just reminds me of the Animal Crossing logo, and I was really enjoying that for some reason because I have been obsessed with Animal Crossing, as a lot of Simmers have, I guess. So yeah, I don't know, for some reason I was just really enjoying that wallpaper that day, and I'm still really enjoying it actually. But here you can see that the child's bedroom is very like matchy-matchy. It has that teal color all over it, combined with like lighter blue and then a whole heap of other colors, but you can kind of see that it's really matchy-matchy in that way, which is what I was really enjoying. And I just cluttered up a couple of shelves with some school project and some random little toys, maybe that those toys are their favorite toys that they want to have like displayed on the shelf. And I just placed down a couple of wall stickers, like a dino and a tree, just some crafting materials and stuff like that, and yeah, some fairy lights. And overall, this room, in my opinion, is just really cutesy and very nice. So yeah, overall I am really excited about the interior of this house. And here you can see we moved on to the exterior. It's funny because for some reason I started on the interior before I did any landscaping, and I don't think I have ever done that before. I usually always do the landscaping before I move on to the interior, or at least like the majority of the landscaping. But for this build I didn't do that. I just kind of, I don't know, I just found myself working on the interior all of a sudden, and I don't know how that happened, but it worked out fine. I decided to stick with that and just leave the landscaping for last, which was also fun. Like, it was a bit of a change, and I was definitely having a lot of fun with it. As per usual, made this build very lush and green and overgrown looking, and I was really, really enjoying it because I was thinking that the dad was really into gardening. which is also a thing that comes with seasons. Like you get a whole heap of new gardening things with seasons. So I decided to place down a whole bunch of planter boxes and the beekeeper item and stuff like that in the backyard. And I placed down a whole bunch of plants in the front yard as well, which I was imagining that the dad, he takes care of it, and maybe he is in the gardening career. I don't know exactly what that career means for gameplay, but I do know that there is a gardening career path in The Sims. So I was just kind of imagining that the dad, he is, he's involved in that career, and he loves gardening, and he does it at home just as much as he does it for his job, I was imagining. So he is basically always outside. I think I also gave him a woodworking bench on the front porch here. I really love this porch area for some reason. I think it just looks really cozy and it's pretty spacious. So I placed down, like I mentioned, a woodworking table and a picnic table on there, which I imagined that he created, or he crafted that picnic table himself. I thought that was a really cute detail, and I just found a couple of those wooden boxes in the debug menu that for some reason I had never seen before. I don't know why, but yeah, I just placed them down because it looked nice and realistic, and maybe he keeps his materials, like his crafting materials, in there. And I just made the place look a little bit more cozy with these lanterns, which I thought looked really cutesy and cozy and fun, and I just did a little bit extra landscaping. And here you can see that I moved on to the actual backyard area, placed down some more plants everywhere. Basically, this build is very, very overgrown, but I was really enjoying playing around with the terrain paint in here as well. I'm really enjoying this pathway for some reason. I don't know why, but I really like it. It's a little bit dirty looking for some reason because I used the mud. I layered a whole bunch of terrain paints basically, but I really like the look of it. It looks very realistic in my opinion, and just a very like used pathway, if that makes any sense. And yeah, I was liking the look of that. And here you can see I placed down a whole bunch of trees, which makes this house actually fairly expensive for what it is. Like, I didn't use all debug items for the landscaping. I used a whole bunch of debug plants, but definitely not everything, because I get tired of scrolling through the debug menu. So to make it easier for myself, I from time to time just move on to the actual landscaping catalog and just buy plants. So that makes it so that this house is actually fairly expensive for what it is. But if you don't want it to be so expensive, and if you don't want to play with money cheats, for example, you can just go in and maybe replace a whole bunch of the landscaping for debug plants. Like, that shouldn't be a problem at all, because most of the plants that I used, you can find them in the debug menu as well. But here you can see that I just placed down a whole bunch of planter boxes everywhere and a couple of those beekeepers items. I keep forgetting what they're called, but I hope you probably do understand what I mean. And then I placed down that monkey jungle bar and a couple of trees and just a little bit of extra landscaping. I was imagining that the child, they like to help their dad with the gardening and stuff and just learn about gardening and do it together. Like, it's really the activity that they love doing together. And yeah, I also placed down the monkey jungle bars for the kid to just play around. I was imagining that they like being outside all the time and just playing outside as much as possible, as long as the weather is nice, or even if the weather isn't so nice. Like, I don't think the child really cares, nor does the dad, I don't think. So yeah, that was already it for this build. So I really hope that you enjoyed it. You can always let me know what you think in the comment section down below. You can download it off the gallery, obviously. My username is Simmarysims on there, and you can also follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. My username is Simmarysims on there as well. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next build. Bye!